Oil price continues declining, mostly below $65 a barrel, which doesn't concern Argentina, whose Vaca Muerta fields in Neuquén are being developed by YPF, Yacimientos Petrolíferos Fiscales, which is taking possession of former France Total Energies assets, in partnership with other international companies, and they claim that they will be fine producing even if oil drops below $50 a barrel, as long as they invest wisely. However, they have taken a few rigs down, as their calculations provide some restraint whenever oil prices decline. And Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister seems to moderate her previous accusations on Venezuela, which means that gas explorations in Dragon could be restarted in the short or medium term. Chevron already dispatched oil tankers from the Gulf of Mexico into Aruba and Venezuela to take the first load of Boscan crude after license renewal by OFAC. So there will be some limited oil export activity from Venezuela into the United States during this month of August. However, Marco Rubio and Donald Trump have issued a doubling of reward for capturing Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro on the grounds of drug trafficking through the Sun Cartel, to which Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, quickly responded that Mexico has no connections with Venezuelan drug activities, perhaps suggesting that Mexican drug cartel traffic is completely independent from Venezuelan drug traffic. However, Venezuelan and Colombian and Bolivian and in general South American drug traffic is mostly cocaine, not fentanyl. And the issue in the United States is fentanyl, which is mostly supplied by Canada and Mexico. And of course, they are doing nothing to counter demand, as the American population is well known for being extremely addicted to all kinds of drugs. And popular culture, including music, enhances usage of recreational drugs. This widespread usage of drugs in the United States provides questions on their military, if they are actually able to complete extraction operations like the one suggested from Marco Rubio and Donald Trump regarding the Venezuelan leadership. But the only evidence we have is that Chevron is doing business as usual. Unfortunately, ordinary Venezuelans are being affected by these United States decisions to harass our political leadership, as funds that were previously available for culture, education, and health, even if they weren't much more will actually be diverted into national defense. It is expected that the Venezuelan leadership will construct even more bunkers and militarize the streets. Running errands in the city of Caracas nowadays is not recommended, as lots of police and military officials will stop pedestrians and car drivers, asking them for licenses and checking their cell phone in search of terrorist messaging, while it is suspected that Maria Corina Machado is hiding in the United States Embassy, which has been closed during 5 years, and it remains to be seen if the Venezuelan authorities will actually enter United States Embassy soil, which wouldn't be a first time, as we remember something similar happened in 1979 in Iran. And the former United States Embassy in Iran is now a monument against American imperialism. It will be interesting to know about Chevron and maybe ExxonMobil's and other American oil companies that know that South American oil opportunities are gigantic. And if South America continues uniting, for example, through pipelines between Venezuela and Argentina, as it has been previously discussed, our continent would be so competitive that we would not only drive down the global oil price significantly, but we could actually put oil industries of other countries out of business. So North American corporations that are looking for profits and will probably be treated nicely by South American governments that need the investment might leverage how much they can invest outside of the United States without there being imposed sanctions or betraying the America First dogma. Because America First applies very well to only domestic American companies, but American multinationals are probably not pleased with the American First dogma because it is an obstruction to their global prominence deals. And of course, competition with European and Asian oil firms is not a good sign for American multinationals, which would like to remain competitive, knowing that opportunities in the United States decline as they are more expensive per barrel than in many other countries. Public opinion in Venezuela remains bored of the situation. The government, as usual, is not doing much to improve, but the opposition asking for clandestinity and asking for impossible protests that will lead people into jail recklessly is not the solution either. The few opposition mayors that could go into office are constrained to their municipalities, and the new National Assembly, which has some opposition representation, will start functioning in January 2026. So it remains to be seen if a $50 million bounty for whoever captures Nicolás Maduro or $25 million for whoever captures Diosdado Cabello or $15 million for whoever captures Vladimir Padrino López will actually do anything, because probably accountants and budget analysts in the Venezuelan government will just divert resources so that security spending is doubled and everything else collapses. The collapse of Venezuelan society seems to be a joint venture between the Venezuelan government, the Venezuelan extremist opposition, and the United States regime. It sounds like our only hope is that international petroleum companies come to our rescue. And hopefully they will deal with Venezuelan citizens who will provide hints on how to develop oil responsibly so that cleanup of past mismanagement occurs. The Venezuelan mood is sour, and it is obvious that the hardline policy that could never oust out of power the Cuban regime will not oust out of power the Venezuelan regime either. We will probably get into December with very little money to spend or to celebrate festivities, looking for another year of disgrace unless we start redeveloping our oil industry. And many of the proceeds, unfortunately, will go into securing the government's safety, as it is being accused of drug trafficking, because the United States has decided not to confront their own drug consumption habits. And they want to penalize other countries for their addictions. It looks like Brazil is also getting fed up because of the tariffs, and President Lula da Silva said that he will speak to Modi of India or Xi Jinping of China to accelerate the BRICS currency. Because once we get the BRICS currency, oil will hopefully be traded in that currency, and that will eliminate the differential that penalizes Venezuelan oil exports, because Venezuelan oil continues at 51 or maybe $49, $48 a barrel, if it has declined even further because of the Brent benchmark decline. Which means that also in Venezuela we will apply the American maxima of drill, baby, drill, which is probably not occurring that much in Texas or the rest of the United States, because if they were drilling a lot in the United States their expensive oil, they would have no need for Venezuelan heavy crude, which is in high demand in many refineries in the Gulf of Mexico, as shown by Valero and Chevron deals. We are also expecting the presidential results in Guyana, because if a candidate different than Irfan Ali gets into power, the possibilities of peace between Venezuela and Guyana may increase, as trade opportunities between the two countries will suddenly gain importance as the region continues its slow but steady integration process. It is also significant that NVIDIA and other chip-making artificial intelligence supplies are extremely overestimated, and all economic and financial charts show they are at unsustainable maximums, even more than during the dot-com era. And as a user of artificial intelligence during the last few months, I have realized the shortcomings, because artificial intelligence many times amplifies whatever lie programmed by their programmers. Artificial intelligence provides political opinions which are biased according to social media hype. And we are seeing in many countries that there is a growing disconnection between the fantasy of social media and the reality of everyday life. Maria Corina Machado, for example, has tried to promote protests in Venezuela, a country where nobody wants to protest anymore because we don't want to go into jail. And she uses artificial intelligence images, which are clearly AI and do not reflect anyone in particular. Contents that are written by artificial intelligence are easy to spot. And so I am realizing that my use of artificial intelligence will be restricted to very specialized searches on cultural and environmental activities in the various countries where I am designing my road and pipeline project, or in getting information about oil fields and refineries and other verifiable information through secondary and tertiary sources that do not involve artificial intelligence. But it seems that in the rest, I will continue relying on myself, on my thinking process, even though, of course, a human being is much slower than an artificial intelligence that can provide you a 1,000-page essay in a minute. We have, for example, the conviction of Colombian ex-president Álvaro Uribe, which is 1,000 pages long, and it was published in a matter of a couple of days. That was obviously a document produced by artificial intelligence, because no lawyer can compile a 1,000-page treaty in 2 days or 5 days or whatever. And also, when I get a problem with any computer application and I need to contact customer service, most times the questions and answers just do not respond. And I appreciate whenever I get to a website which is clearly organized and explains in plain language or slightly scientific language whatever people are asking. So yes, I got a point in my learning curve of artificial intelligence where diminishing returns suggest that the more I use artificial intelligence, the less results I will get. And it looks like algorithms of Google and of YouTube also realize that, and they prefer to position original content that is made by a human being because it teaches something new rather than something produced by artificial intelligence, which is probably a cut and paste of different sources, which actually can confuse you because it is a lot of unorganized data and only the most obvious patterns are observed, but new patterns that maybe can make a person look crazy are the ones that eventually become fashionable. I am still in the process of updating my rroopstr.com.ve website, which means that I have not been involved in either researching topics for these videos or advancing my pipelines, roads, and oil fields projects across South America, which is important to do. And so I am trying to work as fast as possible, but in order to get my website explaining most of the topics I have been talking to you during the last few years. It requires my full attention to detail because every sentence, every paragraph has a hint that must be addressed. Let's hope that more of that job is completed by the time I record the new video. I will probably be recording videos every 2 or 3 days. I'm realizing that recording one video daily, especially because of the length they are, and after transcribing it so that it gets completely clean into my website, and also dealing with normal work activities and family life, prevents me to recording more. And also I have realized that people who record shows every day, it is impossible to watch all of them. There are days that you just can't watch a show. You can do that maybe for 1 month or 2 months, but it doesn't seem likely that anyone can watch as a homework any channel every single day. I have also realized that people who record YouTube shows every day tend to repeat over and over the same ideas. So to ensure fresh content, you need at least 1 day off. Thanks for listening, thanks for subscribing, and let's hope that South American and Caribbean countries start uniting with each other, because together we could get relieved of the impositions that we receive from other continents that are permanently in war and want to place us into war as well.